the Storytelling Chronicles, Life Lessons and Logistics. This series is Empowering Women into Logistics. So let's go. That's not it. That's so funny. Hello, everyone. I'm the Bodacious Cowboy with my co-host, Christy Knichel. Are you ready for a special edition of the Storytelling Chronicles? We are. Let's go.
Look out! Pop, pop, it's showtime. Showtime. Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. Showed up. I'm wearing Cuban links. Yeah. Designer mix. Yeah. Inglewood's finest shoes. Whoop, whoop. Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to give the color red the blues.
Well, that was a heck of a beginning. Hello, everyone. I am the Bodacious Cowboy. Welcome again to the Storytelling Chronicles, Empowering Women into Logistics. Again, it's July 1st. We're in the second half of the year. God knows what's going to happen, but we have a great guest that is joining us, Camille Gaines. You probably heard of her. You've probably seen her or even communicated with her on LinkedIn. But first, I want to bring in the best co-host any host could ever have, Christy Knichel. Hey, Christy.
Hello. How's it going?
It is going well. Can you believe that we're in the second half of the year already? What happened to the first half?
I know. It's crazy. It went by like so fast.
Unbelievable. You have a good weekend?
Yeah, I did. How about you?
I had a fantastic weekend, as all weekends go by too fast. I wish the week would go by really fast and the weekends would just draw on. It'd be nice.
I know, right?
But we work in logistics and it's a 24/7, 365. So nope, there's no time off. So we move on, right?
Right, exactly. Well, hey, I was going to say, before we bring Camille out, I wanted to talk a little bit about her if y'all don't know who she is and what she's doing.
Absolutely.
So Camille is the CEO and founder of Rig on Wheels, broker and recruitment services, and host of the Rig on Wheels show. She is passionate about driving transformative change within the trucking industry through strategic DEI initiatives and education. Camille champions programs that enhance the representation and success of the African American woman in trucking and co-chairs that association, creating pathways for leadership and personal and professional growth. She also partners with educational leaders to integrate DEI principles into curriculum, cultivating environments where students are academically and culturally prepared. Camille is known for her no BS attitude and genuine connections, empowering people and making a difference in the industry one truck at a time. Beyond her professional work, Camille is a solo caregiver for her elderly mother, a mother of 3 young adults, and a grandmother. She does not look like one, I'll tell you all, folks. Nope. She leads her global team with empathy, compassion, and authenticity, fostering a culture of appreciation, trust, and respect. Let's bring her on.
Yeah, I can't wait for this conversation. Let's go. Hey, Camille.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for finding the time to join us. I mean, my God, you've got so much going on. We just can't wait to get into our conversation.
Yes. Well, thanks for having me. I'm just excited and honored to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one of the first things we always started with is talking a little bit about your career path, how you got into logistics, why you're still here. And the other thing that wasn't mentioned, I think you just started, was at trucktractortrailer.com. I want you to talk a little bit about that too before you end. So,
okay. So I start off with, I kind of fell into this world, but I think it was in my blood. But let me tell you first how I fell into it, and then I'll tell you how I found out it was in my blood, right? So about 15 years ago, I was laid off. I've always been in sales from the word go. That's all I know is sales. So that's the only job I guess I've ever had is sales. However, I was laid off when it came to educational sales. The campus closed. So, like most entrepreneurs, that's when you start into entrepreneurship. But I had done entrepreneurship before and went back into corporate America. And so I got back into it and found myself into the truck driver and recruitment space because I wanted to get back into being a recruiter. But I didn't know much about trucks. I'm south side of Chicago, so of course I knew what dry van was, obviously, and I knew what flatbed was, and I knew what dump truck was just because of the Tonka trucks. And that was probably about it. But I had a great mentor, Larry with Sterling Solutions. So he really walked me through everything over the years of being in it, more like a father in trucking than a mentor, to be honest with you. But then as I'm doing this business, been in trucking now for almost 15 years coming up, and my mom starts saying stuff, and she's in her early 80s, and she starts talking, and I'm like, the only people that would be saying these terms would be if she was one of us, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about, Ma? And she said, well, this is back in my Superior Coffee days. Well, come to find out, she used to work for what we would call a shipper, and she was part of the logistics. She would be dealing with the BOLs, making sure everything went through. Probably what we would now be considering like a coordinator. So this was in her early 20s. So I'm like, when were you going to tell me? When were you going to tell me this? So I think we had already moved to Texas, and we have been here for 10 years. So I was good and in the business by the time I found out that my mother had been working in logistics in her past life. So a long time before I was born. But yeah. And you want to know about my TTT life now, trucktractortrailer.com.
Yeah, because you got so many things going on. It's just, where do you find the time?
Well, I had a few people say, where do I find the time? But they all kind of go together.
Okay.
Because I'm really in the recruitment and retention space. So they really all go together, and they're great partnerships of each other. So it's almost like one big job. Literally.
Gotcha.
That's really what it feels like, is one big job. But I am now the head of jobs at trucktractortrailer.com, which is a robust and a great job board. So that's what that is. And it is not just for truck drivers, but logistics and supply chain overall. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, with that being said, and you kind of laid this next question out for me perfectly, but as head of jobs, how are you leveraging your position to create more opportunities for women in trucking and logistics?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the whole point is to be able to partnership with different companies, and for them to be able to be on different diversity job boards. So at trucktractortrailer.com, not only do we have the opportunity to push your job out, let's say ABC Trucking, for an example, and push your job out to, your regular job boards, and then we can get to some of your more premium job boards like ZipRecruiter and things like that. But then we can do diverse job boards. So if you need or want those, and then also it can be for veterans as well. So if you're needing to actually target certain groups of people for your company, that is definitely what we'll be able to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when it comes to, let's get back to the recruiting side of your business. As you know, there's less women in the driver's seat compared to men, right?
Yeah.
From your point of view, have you seen an increase over the last couple of years or even recently? Because both, Christy and myself belong to Women in Trucking. I'm sure you do too. And that's something big. What's the percentage that you're seeing right now, men compared to women? And what can be done is two-part. What can be done to get more women involved, to get them behind the wheel, not just behind the wheel, but into the logistics seat, to your point, either being a coordinator, moving freight, etc.
I don't want to say a certain percentage, and let me tell you why. So when it comes to trucking companies, we consider ourselves trucking companies, right? But when you have logistics companies like beer, wine, and spirits, they don't consider themselves trucking companies. They consider themselves logistics companies, and oh, by the way, we have trucks.
Right.
They have more women in their seats.
Oh, very interesting.
That
I wouldn't
is,
have thought that.
Yes, and they feel that they're going to come in and save our women, and I hope that they do, because of the schedule and the routes are more attractive for that diverse community.
So basically working direct with BCOs is what you're saying?
It can, not guaranteed, but it can with those type of companies. They might have more of a set schedule. If you just think about it a little bit. They have more of a set schedule than we do on our side of the fence, things like that. So women typically need that.
So you're talking about more or less companies that are fleet-based.
Yeah, they're fleet-based, but if when we look at trucking, we would say Swift, U.S. Express, that's a trucking company.
Right.
Saddle Creek is a logistics company. When we look at statistics, typically Saddle Creek wouldn't fall in those statistics.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
So
that's very interesting, because
the reason why those statistics, we need to have something to give us a more in-depth, not broad, more in-depth, if we really want to get those numbers. However, to your point, Jeff, definitely there has been more women, not enough, but it needs to be better routes, more safety. Women, we have babies, so of course it's not safe for us to be behind the wheel. But when do we come from behind the wheel? What does that look like? How long do we stay? All of those type of accommodations. So it needs to be, instead of saying, no, let's not hire, or let's not hire a woman between these ages, it needs to be actual accommodations.
Sure.
And somebody really sitting down and let's make this a focus. If we are genuinely talking about hiring this diverse group of folk, which are women, baby making age.
That was my next question, because when you think about that, there's concerns, definitely. Then there's women of age who are childbearing. That takes a big chunk of the women out there off the market, pretty much, until their child reaches a certain age. Either they're in school, or they're going to look for super regional type trucking jobs so they can be home at night, etc. So what is the biggest complaint that a woman has when she comes in to use your company to help recruit them into a position? What is their number one concerns? Because you mentioned that earlier, and I'm just curious what they have to say.
Set hours.
Set hours.
Yes, it's just the same as women when we are walking into an office. It just like retail. I don't know if Chris, if you worked in retail.
I did.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
the same type of complaint. Women don't mind working hard. We work very hard.
Sure.
We have to work more once we are home than we're actually at work, right? We come to work so we don't have to work as hard as we do at home. But
well, look at you.
I agree. That's why my husband's a stay-at-home dad. Just saying.
Yeah, we work so hard at home, but the thing is, it actually they need set hours because women have to take on such a robust role in parenting and caring for the house and things like that. We know that is typically, not always, but that is what is expected of us. So we need certain accommodations.
That's interesting, Camille, because you know what? I would not have thought that their number one concern would be set hours. I would think that would be more fear-based. Like, what areas am I going into? Where would I be going? You know what I'm saying? Just because women are different than men, men's different than women. Women have more concerns than men do, of course. And I'm surprised that wasn't something that was brought up. Like,
it is brought up.
Okay.
It's very much a concern. It's one of the top three. But the first is ours. Typically, women, if they have children, those are the ones we're talking about, right? In that age. If they have children or they're planning to have children or family, someone that they take care of outside of themselves, right?
Right.
Their concern is, how do I take care of home?
Right. So do you find it challenging then to find them jobs, or do you find that the carriers are becoming more adaptive to the needs of the actual women drivers that have those needs?
No.
That's not a good answer, but it's a real answer.
On that one, no.
Yeah, no. It's easier to find a job for the gal that has not started planning to have a family, or if someone at home is taking on more of the responsibility, whether it be her husband, her mom, or if she has already finished raising her children.
Right.
And now this is her me time.
So question then, do you have, so I know you do a lot of education and all that kind of stuff, which we'll get into a little bit later, but do you have, or do you feel like you can have these talks with the companies you're trying to recruit for about things they could do to make changes to then get these women drivers working for them? And I'm just curious if you have, are they receptive to it?
Yeah.
I have, some are receptive and some are not. But to be honest, where I'm seeing more to be receptive is the logistics side.
Gotcha. Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, at least someone's trying to help, right? And it's going to take time, and a lot of us out there doing the advocating like you're doing, which I think is going to be helpful in the future to get these things changed, especially when you need the drivers, right? I'm sure that at some point the market's going to do something, or the aging drivers, whatever.
And that's what I was about to say, to be devil's advocate with the freight and everything that's going on. Everybody is thinking about freight. So it's not that the companies are just trying to be they're not trying to be like that.
Right.
They're not. What they're trying to do is do the best they can with what they have. Okay, that is the God's honest truth. You might have some bad apples.
Sure.
But majority of that is not what's happening. I really feel that, and I'm not one that's naive. You know, right. I'm typically the other way around, right? So, but people are literally trying to survive. The companies are trying to survive. So they're trying to do the best that they have for what they got. So right. If the trucking company is not used to that huge change, now we're talking about investing in something that's going to take a lot, versus if they can invest in something to make change that's not going to take as much. So they're going to change it. It's just going to take baby steps.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, just like anything. I mean, and just to stay on the educational part, you know, since you engage with communities in educational institutions, I know that's key to your work. Like, how do these engagements help you to inspire and empower young women to consider careers in logistics?
You know, what I do is I ask them, what is it? What do you see yourself doing? What I don't want them to do is go with the fad, because the news tells them so much stuff is so loud, right? Because the news tells them, social media tells them. I mean, my daughter, of course, you know, she'll be 21 in September. I've been doing this almost 15 years. So basically, all she knows is logistics and trucking, right? The girl does not even want to drive a car. She doesn't. She gets in your car. She doesn't even let down the window. She thinks she's Ashley Banks on The Fresh Prince. I promise you. That's what she thinks. She says, Madre, I want to drive a truck. What?
That's crazy.
Just because she works for us and cuts up some reels and some shorts for our clients, and little girl, you don't want to drive a truck. You don't even let down the window in the car. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Really having these candid conversations, what is it that you see yourself doing and why?
Right. Like, what is your passion? Like,
yep.
And does this kind of fall in with what your passion is?
Yes, exactly. And why? Like, why? And there's no right or wrong answer. Don't let society dictate your why. You know, don't let social media, because something can, no. Why do you want to do it? Because everyone has a place in trucking. I really feel that. But it does not mean that you have to drive a truck. I'm in trucking. I don't drive a truck. You don't really want me to drive my Acura, you know? So, but that doesn't mean I'm not in trucking. So once you have that, they open up.
So what did your daughter say to you? Because I almost wonder too if it's like, hey, I'll make mom proud or be a part of this in some way. And maybe that was just something she decided to throw out, or was she really trying to do that?
No, she doesn't want to drive a truck. I think what it was is she was cutting, you know, she was chopping up the clips, and it was like the whole female I roar type of thing. You know, like, I can do this, you know, that whole mantra behind that. No, she doesn't. She doesn't even want to drive a car.
Yeah, now I kind of figured once you said she didn't want to drive a car, she's definitely not getting behind a truck. That's for sure.
So it's being realistic. So, and I always, when someone asks me this question, I bring, or something similar to it, I bring up that as an example. You know, you don't want to shoot somebody's dream, but you want them to be realistic, because everything is coming at them and everything is so loud. So it's literally, you know, you can still be in trucking. I want you to be in trucking. You know?
Right. And one of the things we talk about real quick is in regards to, like, when people think of our industry in general as a whole, they think of, in my opinion, like a truck driver. And that's like the only thing that there is to do. But there's so many different jobs within logistics. And I think us all talking about it, you being real about it too. Like, what is your passion? Why do you want to do this? And I think sometimes people like yourself, like we need more of that, asking these younger kids, younger generation, or whoever that's coming into the industry, because you want to make sure that this is what they want to do.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're a person that likes numbers and you want to do accounting and all of that, why not be an accountant and keep us all out of jail?
Right.
You will be in trucking. Make this your niche.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I say. You know, it makes their mind, and they'll say, oh, you know, like that.
You know, talk about getting real. Like I'm as real as it possibly gets. So what I would say, if somebody came up to me, if a woman came up to me, you know, you want to be a driver. Well, have you ever been to a trucking terminal before? You know, show them the down and dirty of what they're really getting into. It's not a clean job. You know, I mean, most terminals that you walk into, a lot of grease, a lot of dirt. You know, it's not like your bathroom in your house and stuff like that. But getting a real taste of it before you think or want to jump into a position,
Absolutely.
It's like, if you have, I suggest this to anybody, whatever type of position you want to get into, logistics, ask a recruiter if they have a friend that you could go and visit, you know, and see how an operation actually works. You know, you're either going to have that passion and go, wow, this is pretty cool. I never knew that this happened. Or, oh, hell no, I ain't doing this. You know, this is what I got to work into. Because it's not as clean as everybody thinks it is. Granted, there's some beautiful terminals out there that I've been into where you can take a white glove and go down the aisle and everything, and you're not going to have any dirt. But those are far and few between. But most of them out there, it's a dirty environment. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that that's superb. I mean, I think you should do that, like you said, with any job, not just trucking, but definitely you should do that so you can see exactly what you're getting yourself into. And even to piggyback on that, they need to go to a truck stop.
Yeah, I agree.
Do not look like Buc-ee's, okay? Bathroom is not going to be like Buc-ee's bathroom. So they need to go and literally see what that is like. They need to be able to hear number shower 74, you know, like everything that goes along with that.
Right. And I was going to say, so my husband's brother just became a truck driver.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, working for a company, I think out of Indiana, PA here, but he's actually sleeping in his truck too, 4 nights a week. Not to change the subject of what we're talking about, like, but he's very interested in, like, how do I do more? How do I make more? Like, he's the guy that most companies can't get, right? That want to go further, and they're not coming home that night, but yet he's new to the industry. Yeah, I mean, obviously I've talked to him about it and whatnot, but, you know, I think it's important to have these resources out there so that they can find that, because again, like, I don't know that he's truly looking at all of that. I try to send whatever I can his way, but that goes for women too. Like, we talked to Ingrid Brown recently. One of the things she talked about was there weren't even showers for women. Like, someone had to stand at the door and wait for her, you know, or whatever woman to be done. And so there's a lot of work to still be done, I think, in our space, but I still think it's a good career for a lot of people out there, specifically women, if that's what their passion is and want to get into. So I'm going to change our discussion here a little bit. There's a lot of talk about what work you've done in DEI. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, and also the African American Women Trucking Association and how that relates, because, like, that's all new to me too, and I would love to know more about that. How can we help promote that, and what's going on there?
Yeah,
we are doing. Thank you so much at African American Women in Trucking Association, and we have been partnering with the Women in Trucking. We are so grateful for their alliance there, and everyone else that is supporting us. But we are very thankful and well received within the community because we see that the African American women truck drivers are coming with their own sets of issues, their own sets of safety and things like that. So we definitely are educating. We're trying to find even more jobs. Every month we have a meet and greet, and we tend to have a workshop and a speaker that comes there. I do write thought leadership articles in Forbes, so I have written some DEI articles there. We have been partnering with different companies so we can get more, what do you call it, employment for the Black women, the Black truckers, and not just the Black truckers, but just women overall. Okay,
Right.
so if once we open that door, then other underrepresented groups are able to follow. So that is my thought when it comes to the logistics companies.
So do you
To be very transparent with you. So if whenever and I want any of the carriers that are listening, if we can definitely partner together, that will be great. And that's the reason why I say, from all of the hats that I am wearing, from the host on the Rig on Wheels show, the head of jobs, the CEO of Rig on Wheels, and a co-chair of African American Women in Trucking, all of those hats to definitely open up doors for different underrepresented groups.
do you find that you have a pretty decent following now? Like, how is the association growing now? What is that?
It's growing very well. I definitely feel like we can always use more partnerships, always use more resources, and because that's where the help comes.
Right.
For yes. So definitely, I'm really needing that. I'm willing to put in all of the work necessary for that. But yes, definitely.
And before we go to our sponsor break, I wanted to get in one last question. So, can you tell our viewers, why do you feel DEI is so important? And, I don't know if there's an example that you can explain or talk about what it has done for one of your organizations, in general, by having DEI.
Well, what I like to do, because I am the CEO of Rig on Wheels. So typically when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about this to other executives, other owners and stuff like that. When I wrote about it in Forbes, I'm writing about it on that particular level. So when we talk about it, we talk about it as profit. Okay. So I'm a no BS, no nonsense type person. When you are dealing with diversity, people look at you more of a higher level. You are open to more thought. Who is a company that has great diversity? Google. Okay.
Sure.
Google has a lot of thought. Google has a lot of innovation. Google has a lot of profit. And we're not just talking about finances. We're talking about turnover, things like that, right? People are feeling like they belong. They feel like they have a voice. So that is what you want inside of your organization. People need to see themselves on every level. And then you need to have that representation so people can understand each other. Okay. Yeah. So that is what you need. And as a CEO or any executive, your profit is very important. You don't want people to come in and not see themselves and they don't understand the person that's talking to them. And then you got that consistent turnover. You know what that does to your profit. That doesn't make sense. You also don't want your company not to be looked at as innovative. Innovation is where we're going. Okay. So you always want your company to always be looked at as going forward. Okay. DEI is not about the color of your skin. It means all sorts of things. Your culture, the color of your skin, where you come from, your education, your height, your age. It is a plethora of things. A lot of things you can't even see, you don't even know about. But all of those different things are so very important. So I can go on and on and on and on.
No, I mean, I love that because you are right. It isn't just the color of your skin. It's about having a voice. It's just different skill sets, all the different things that you said bring together so that you can get different opinions about different things in general. So no, I think you just hit it right out of the park there. So
definitely. And before we go into sponsors, I just have to say one thing, and I'm not afraid to say this publicly. I don't like the word minority. I really do not like that because it seems like you're getting funneled into a certain vertical that says, and when you look at minorities, you talk about veterans, you talk about handicapped people, women, all that kind of stuff. No, they don't get all put into one category. I hate that word because for me, I have all different types of friends, all different colors, all different types of religions, political stances, all that. I don't care about it. We're friends. We can agree to disagree on so many subjects. I don't care about that. We're friends, and we know what friends are. It's not about, oh, I need X amount of people because they're a minority. I need this one. No, it's garbage. I just think it's just a really bad word.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff and I have talked about this before too, because I'm a woman-owned company, right? And I've told him, like, my dad, God love him, he passed away a few years ago, but he's always told me, like, don't become a man hater. And I'm like, I'm not a man hater. Like, I don't want to be in this category. Like, give me something because I'm a woman or whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. Well, we can go to sponsors.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, we're going to start off with Ty.
Okay, here we go.
Ty Software. They simplify freight management for brokers, offering an all-in-one platform for quoting, booking, and tracking shipments. Learn more at tysoftware.com.
Brokering, success demands a battle-ready strategy. Ty TMS equips brokers with the ultimate battle station for conquering a tough market. With Ty, brokers gain access to a comprehensive platform where rate intelligence and quote history converge on a single screen. It's not just a page. It's a strategic command center designed to help brokers win. Ty equips your team with all the data they need to negotiate with confidence and allows them to communicate directly with carriers and customers from a simple control base. Revolutionize the way your brokers perform by giving them a competitive advantage with Ty TMS. For more info, scan the QR code or go to ty-software.com/battlestation.
Freight Validate, the ultimate identity and compliance verification system for the logistics industry. Freight Validate empowers shippers, brokers, carriers, and more to ensure compliance with regulations and mitigate fraud risk. With Freight Validate, you can easily verify entities' compliance status and identify potential threats within minutes. Don't risk your business with unverified carriers or brokers. Choose Freight Validate for peace of mind. Learn more about freightvalidate.com and start your verification process today.
Freight Validate, revolutionizing identity and compliance verification for shippers, brokers, and motor carriers with cutting-edge technology. Now, experience the power of voice-activated information retrieval with Siri and Alexa. Hey Siri, check Freight Validate.
Sure, what's the MC number?
387211.
The company Direct Expedite LLC is a broker and is freight validated. Company ownership has completed facial recognition verification. Basic company identity verification, risk assessment, and compliance info has been verified by freightvalidate.com. Please follow company protocols for additional safety and compliance vetting. For more information, please go to freightvalidate.com.
Freight Validate ensures complete access to our state-of-the-art identity and compliance verification system. Speed, accuracy, and savings all in one package. Don't miss out. Upgrade to Freight Validate today. Fraud starts with fraud. It ends with Freight Validate.
And our last sponsor is TAFS, which provides transportation factoring solutions to boost profits and increase cash flow for small and medium-sized companies. Contact TAFS at tafs.com to elevate your financial success.
Trucking excellence meets unparalleled service. Enjoy exclusive benefits like our fantastic tire discounts. Need cash fast? Try our 1-hour advances. Plus, we're here for you 365 days a year. Need loads? We have a pro dispatch service. This is why TAFS was recognized as the top factoring company in 2023. You'll benefit from strategic partnerships for enhanced operations. Access business loans and manage your finances easily with our client portal, F2 Fuel Card, and mobile app. At TAFS Factoring, we're more than just a factoring company. We're your partner in success. Contact us today to see how we can help your trucking business thrive.
And we're back.
We are back.
Those are some great sponsors. I saw a few that I was like, okay, noted.
Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah, we're trying to, collect the funds, and we're going to be doing something with women in general, like whether, we have them pick someone to send to an association, conference, something. So we still got to get that figured out. But yeah, it's all about supporting the women.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So listen, any ideas, we're open to them as well. So you can certainly send those to Jeff and I.
Yep, absolutely.
But Jeff, you want to go ahead and start off on the second?
Yes, absolutely. As the head of jobs, how are you leveraging your position to create more opportunities for women in the trucking logistics industry?
So definitely what we plan on doing there is for the different companies. So when we package up your job board, right? And especially we have different packages. And if you want your certain package, let's say Chrissy's company, she has a certain package she wants, and we'll make it especially for her company. We can give her a diversity, add on a diversity package so it'll be just for her company. And it also will target certain boards that will be for women, certain boards that will have LGBT, you know what I'm trying to say.
LGBTQ.
Yes.
I get everything. I apologize. And other African American boards, things like that. And then also we will be able to target veteran if you wanted to add that on as well. So there can be a package just for your company. So if you wanted just the premium package, or if you wanted certain targeted groups as well.
Interesting.
And we can tailor it.
That's good. That's good. What would your advice be to a younger folk out there, a woman who needs a mentor? How would they go about finding one?
Well, I definitely am big on the associations. We have, I might be biased, but I've been in this industry for about 15 years, and the women rock in North America. I mean, from the Canadian associations to the United States and Mexico, okay? The women rock when it comes to the support. Me and you all are pretty good too, but
Thanks.
a Yeah. But the mentorship and the sisterhood that you really get is phenomenal. So I would say jump on social media, jump on Google and start searching, jump in and start talking to the different groups and see like literally who you feel at home with. Because some group you're going to feel at home more than others.
So what happens when you have, let's face it, there's some people out there who are introverts and extroverts, right? So
Mhm.
we don't have this woman that's out there that's really outgoing. She wants to get involved in logistics and she's very shy.
Like, okay, so I'm an introvert. I'm not
No way. No way.
I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies.
Me too.
Really?
And
Just
I do phenomenal online. When it comes time for the conferences, I have to bring myself and get myself together. That's why last time I was at TMSA Elevate Conference earlier this month, and they had the wellness room where you can go and kind of be by yourself for a second. It was the best thing. I think they made it just for me. I really think so.
Camille's room.
Yeah, it should have been Camille's room. But I think you need to find your, that's what it is. And that is the reason why once you find your association, you will know it. So some associations aren't going to fit Belinda. Some just are not. I'm
Right.
just giving out the name because it's going to be too extroverted for her. It's going to be too rah-rah. It's going to be like, for an example, I have always been into sales, but I'm not the rah-rah sales. I was trained up in more of a masculine sales environment. It wasn't rah-rah. It was very in your face. What have you done for me today? Because yesterday will get you fired. That's what I've know, right? So I'm not comfortable with the yay running down the aisle and slapping hands. That makes me very, very, very uncomfortable. But I know it's necessary because it's necessary for someone else, just not me. So once Belinda finds her association, and face to face is not always necessary when it comes to support. It's just not always necessary. But then for some, it is.
Yeah, and I would add to that I find it easier when you meet someone online through LinkedIn and then you go to an event and you meet them then.
Yes.
For the people that are introvert, like, because during COVID, I saw this movement of so many people, like that was the way that they could, talk to each other and stuff. Then the conferences happened. It was like, oh my God, there's like 30, 40 people now that I've been talking to. So it made it actually a little bit different. So that's just something I think about too, because I'm like the one that's in the room, right? Like waiting for someone to come talk to me, but then I had to force myself to go talk to someone. And it's definitely challenging, but I think, talking about mentors in general, like it's so important. Just like you mentioned in the beginning of the show about Larry, like, I just think it's so important for everyone to have, not just one, but several people you can lean on and talk to about business and personal. And it's just so helpful. Until you do it, I think people don't understand.
Yeah.
And you just hope that when you're talking to people online, that they're better than what they are online when you meet them in person. You're like, oh God, I hope this person's really like the real person,
And then another thing is for the introvert and the extrovert, they need to do self-reading on them, because some introverts are shy and some aren't. Like, I'm not a shy person. I can stand in a room full of 10,000 and speak. I don't have any, I speak to you. I don't even need a mic, that type of thing. But I'm just not I don't need to be out on certain things. I just don't necessarily need. But you just have to find your home. But it's also important for you to know who you are so you know what you need to find.
I
Right.
like that. I like that.
I mean, I know you're speaking about some things in particular, but like, is there a barrier that you feel you've had to overcome in your career that's been tough for you to overcome?
I have to and still have to prove because I'm a woman, so you got to prove that you know this and prove that you know that. But that's okay. I was born a woman, so it's kind of what I'm used to, and I just keep, fighting with it. I think part of it is the sales that I've always been in. So it is the challenge, and it's a known challenge for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone has some kind of challenge, right? And it's interesting you say that because working for my dad, that was my biggest thing. He put me in a position of power, but yet I still had to prove myself to him every step of the way when I shouldn't have had to. But it made me want to fight even harder just
Yeah.
to say that you have. Yeah, because I could imagine you talk to most companies that are more male dominated than the women in general. So just curious, what kind of feedback or those conversations tough at times. I'm sure it's not always smooth, right?
No, it's not always smooth. And I just I go back to my foundation, go back to my teachings, and whether the teachings are in the books or what Larry has taught me over the years with different things. And it may not always be, and I always revert back to Larry because it's not always about business. Like Larry has, do you know who I'm talking about when I say Larry?
I don't.
Both of you all do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has literally been like a father figure, even though he's not that much older than me or anything like that. But he really has been. So it's more than just business.
Right.
Right. So it has been overcoming all type of stuff. My divorce, don't get married, all of that type of stuff. Like, did it anyway.
Right.
So it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Of things like that. So you really have to have that person that is looking out for you, and that person that thinks you can do it even before you know you can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And we talk about like some of my other women friends that I have CEOs. It's like having that tribe of women or men that you can go to that, like you said, it's not just, it might be about business initially. And then typically it becomes a friendship and you learn so much more and can potentially grow even more as a person in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you shared that with us.
Yeah.
And, a couple other things, you have your own podcast. So just curious, how has that brought, value into your business and the women out there looking at what you're doing? I'm sure you're inspiring to, so many other women. I mean, I've more recently seen you out there quite a bit and been following you and what you're doing as well. And it's exciting to see you put yourself out there, which I love.
Yeah.
So just curious how that's, coming along for you and what are you getting out of it?
Well, let me tell you, talking about putting now that is outside of my comfort zone on an entirely different level. Okay. But it has been a joy. I have learned so much. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much more about our industry, more passionate about our industry. That is for sure. And yeah, I get a lot of women that are so supportive in what I'm doing. And I get so emotional about it because I love that. I never looked at myself, like
Yeah.
maybe
No, I mean, it's giving me the goosebumps you talking about it because, like, you're making a difference. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I think it's awesome what you're doing because you're making a difference for people that feel like they need your help.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
need someone to lead the way.
Yeah, and I'm like, I am so appreciative of them because I always think, okay, so what is it that you want me to talk about, or what is the next thing you need for me to discuss, and all of that type of thing, because that's what it's for. And I
Right.
honestly can say that, and I want to have it be a voice for the carriers and the companies that are into the retention, because it's all about recruitment and retention. That's so huge for me. It has always been huge for me. I have always liked the trucking side of life. So, yeah, I come from a trucking family, and it's pretty important for me. So, even though I came from a trucking family, I didn't know a whole lot about it until Larry had to sit me down, like, Lord have mercy. But I was like, okay, I know what a dry van is. But, I get a lot out of it. Obviously, the carriers are, calling, but it's more than that. It's really increasing my emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I
That's
love that.
yeah, that's really important. Um, as a solo caregiver and mother, you have a unique perspective compared to others on balancing professional and personal responsibilities. What strategies have you found effective in empowering other women to achieve similar balances while pursuing careers in logistics?
Well, I break it down and I say this to my recruiters, I say it to the support staff. It depends on, there's no one size fit all. You're going to screw it up every day. You're going to mess it up. You're going to cry. You're going to cuss a lot. If you're a drinker, you're going to start early. So, what I definitely say is, depends on where you are in your journey, your career journey first. But when I was the sole recruiter for Rig on Wheels, and Ma would have surgeries, she would be in, back there at the hospital having surgeries. I would be in the car on the telephone and my laptop talking to drivers. So I was able to do that. When she's recuperating at home, of course, I would not go into the, if I had already transitioned and had started at least in the office, then I wouldn't go into the office, and I would be working from home during that time, is the way it would go there. And then as time goes on and my kids got older and started transitioning now, they would help out a little bit, like when they're out of school and such things, or help me take her to the doctor if it's nothing like that's important that I have to listen to, or Uber with her to the doctor if it's nothing that I would, depending on which kid it is, preferably my daughter for obvious reasons. But I would utilize them, but it's more like teamwork between her and I. She knows what it is that I have to do. I know what it is that she needs to do. But also, my mom was an entrepreneur. So there was no work-life balance. It was work-life inclusion.
I like that. Yeah, because I feel like there's not, we talk about it a lot. Some people hate it, talking about work-life balance. Actually, I was on stage talking about it at TIA, and a woman did stand up and say, when are we going to stop talking about it? Because I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, yeah, we own businesses. We have to put our time and effort into that, but you also have to find the time to do the other things too. It's just finding the different ways. Yeah. It doesn't mean you're like getting more of the other, and maybe there is more time on the business or whatnot, but it's also making sure you make time for your family when needed. Like, I think that's what you're explaining too. Like, when there's things you have to go to and you can be there, great. When there's, times that maybe you can't or something, it's, someone else maybe has to step in or whatnot, not all the time, but
and it's normally me because I don't have, other than my children, I don't have a lot of family support other than my children, but they can only do so much. They're in college and things like that. But grocery shopping, I don't grocery shop. Everything typically comes in on Amazon. So stuff like that, I outsource most stuff. A cleaner comes every 2 weeks. Yeah. So I utilized, once I was able financially to do those type of things, I did that. Yeah. So I can balance my work-life inclusion. So instead of spending those times doing those chores, I'm spending that time with my 82-year-old mom.
I love that you said that, because that's one conversation my husband and I had, where when I first got a house cleaner, it was like, why do we have a house cleaner that we're paying? And it was because if I have time, I don't want to be spending it cleaning the house if I don't have to. And obviously you have to get to a point where you can afford to do that.
I had to get to that point. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's important to utilize those different conveniences in our life to have the time to have with our family or business, whatever it might be.
Yeah, something to that comment there. I think one of the reasons why people don't want to say, oh, here we go to life balance again, because they think you don't understand what they're going through and their perspective as an individual, and I think that's the reason why they're being boisterous about that and saying that. It's like, well, you're not in my shoes, so you don't understand. It might be easy for you, but it might not be easy for me. But the bottom line is that in order to move forward as an individual, you have to have some type of balance. Everybody needs that kind of balance. You can't lean to one side and expect everything to be good, and you can't go to the other side and think the same. You have to be right there in the middle. And you have to find that for yourself as an individual. Very difficult to do. I've had problems with that for many years. You can ask my wife when you meet her. I mean, she's like, all you do is think about your business. And I was like, I know. It's very difficult when you have that passion and you get so ingrained in the day-to-day. That's all you think. You can't pull yourself out. And it's a big problem with me. I know it's my problem. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, too, I mean, when those things, when that's you're paying the bills, and like I'm in that position as well, but I also depend on my husband to do other things that need to be done at home. And I still do other tasks as well in between. There's just a lot going on. And I do think a lot of conversation and, discussing those things is definitely important for sure.
Absolutely. 40 years in, and we're still discussing.
It's like the dinner chart, right? What's for dinner?
Yeah.
Where do you want to order? I ain't cooking. Either am I.
Right. Absolutely. And then we just got to realize, and we have to be okay with knowing that something is going to go wrong.
Yes.
In logistics, that happens every single day.
Well, I listened to I can't think of her name, but she was another woman CEO that talked about that, like, we don't have to be perfect. No. And, you're trying to keep a house as if no one lives in it. You're trying to do everything you can at the business like Superwoman. And at the end of the day, that's probably part of my problem, right? Like just being okay with like the dishes sitting there for several hours and not worrying about it and stressing about that stuff. It's not that important at the end of the day.
Yeah. And what's that saying that you've heard for decades? A job never loves you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're not going to get that human feeling from a job. Maybe from your acquaintances and the people that you talk to, but not like true love and understanding of an individual, except your family who really knows you and you know them, and having those cordial conversations, which sometimes gets pushed off to the side because you get so ingrained. Anybody in logistics has that. I don't care who you are, because logistics is different than any other type of job that's out there. It's a 24/7, 365 job. And a lot of people can't accept that for what it is. And that's why you need balance to figure it out. Or listen, it gets to a point, hire somebody so you can have that time to go and do that. Don't try to take it all on yourself. I did that. I was a poor delegator. Nobody could do it better than me. And then I found out 15, 20 years ago that yes, they do. And it's really good to hire people more smarter than you are. I mean, it's just,
everybody on my team is smarter than me.
And it's great thing.
That's the only way. I'm not hiring you if you're not smarter at that particular thing than I am. Because if I'm smarter than you, I don't need you.
Say that louder, please.
If I'm smarter than you on that particular thing, then I don't need you. You are a software.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
well, we got to the top of the hour pretty fast today, and I feel like there's so many more questions we want to ask. So we'll definitely be inviting you to come back on the show again. Yes. But before we leave, can you leave our guests with some form of advice that you could give to them coming into the industry?
Learn as much as you can. Stay consistent. But also just know that things are going to go wrong. And as soon as you think you've learned everything, you won't, because trucking and logistics changes every 30 seconds.
Bingo.
I'm sure my email is full of all the changes.
Well, we certainly appreciate your advice and all what you're doing for the industry and the women out there and the companies out there. And if you want to follow Camille, please go on LinkedIn and follow her. I think she would be a great person to continue to watch in our space.
Yeah, thank you. This was a terrific podcast. I had so much fun. This was amazing.
Yeah, we learned a lot. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You went so bad yourself. So you gotta come back and visit. We definitely will have you.
And Camille, it gets easier. It really does. It gets a little bit easier as you do more and more and time goes on. At least I keep telling myself that.
Yeah, you learn something new every time we do this. You never know what somebody's going to say. And it's like, really? And it's
right.
It's awesome. Like you were today.
Yes. Awesome. People are awesome. I love it. I love our industry and I love everybody in it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you.
So everybody, thank you so much for watching the Storytelling Chronicles, Empowering Women into Logistics. We had a great conversation with Camille Gaines today. If you want, get out there, connect with her. She's highly knowledgeable. She'll help you out. She'll mentor you, especially if you're a woman out there that's looking, possibly getting into the trucking industry or maybe logistics. You can always go out to Camille and she'll be more than happy to give you some free advice. So please check her out on LinkedIn. So I am the Bodacious Cowboy. I am signing out now, but please check us out. In the next 2 weeks, we've got a special guest coming on board. And with that said, everyone enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care now.